Let's talk about the issue of the national conference. I know that you've been skeptical about this whole process, but what are the issues that you think that the conference should be addressing?
Even though I think, and I still think, that the national conference was not designed to achieve any meaningful, impact on our polity, that those who have the time should engage it. In other words, those who can attend should attend, and then see how they can use that platform as a means of raising issues and as a means of also showing the contradictions in the system. For me, that is one form of engagement. In other words, I may not be at the national conference.
Because you declined to participate.
Yes, I declined to participate because, for personal reasons. One, I had made the point, several times that I didn't think it was a correct idea. I didn't think it was going to produce any results. And then secondly, I unfortunately don't have the time now to go to Abuja for 3 months and be partaking in just a mere talk shop. Because that's my view. Now, having said that, people can raise issues. For example, you can go there and make the point that we need to do what I call wage restructuring in Nigeria. Because that is the bane of our society.
Wage restructuring?
Yes. I've always been making this point. No Nigerian should earn less than 50,000 naira per month. And no Nigerian should earn more than 250,000 naira per month. If you do that wage compression, now people are going to be more reasonable when they occupy public offices. Because now as I'm talking to you, there are many Nigerians who don't know where their next meal will be coming from. Yes. And then people go to sit in Abuja and be talking about food is not going around. It's very sad. Of course, I know there are people in the national conference, some of our comrades and friends, who have said that, look, this money, they will send it back to the national coffers, or they will give it to some other fellows who can't afford some less privileged people in society. Yes, I understand that and I accept that what they are doing is correct. But of course, when you find retired governors collecting this money and asking that their aides should be paid, isn't this very shameful? Isn't this very shameful? It's very shameful indeed. So I will expect the national conference to address those structural issues, those fundamental issues that would help our democracy. And that was why I raised the question of wage restructuring, abolition of oil block license, because that is what is making some people think they are more human beings than the other people on the road. And of course, the question of even the use of power, political power. There are many governors who see themselves as demigods, who have 2 heads. That is why you see the way they drive their vehicles on the roads. They drive other people out. They blow siren, and then they think that the other person is just an animal who shouldn't use the road. So we need to begin to look at political behavior of political leaders. Are they normal people? Are they human beings? Is something wrong with them? And if something is wrong with them and they don't want to, we should then put parameters in place to check them. Let them know that there is no room for arbitrary use of power in a democracy. When you talk about rule of law, one of the fundamental planks is that everybody must conform with laws that have been regularly made. And that there's no room for arbitrary discretion. But what you find today is that everybody who occupies any small post in Nigeria begins to see himself or herself as some lord, and that every other person, exists to service him or her. And it should be the other way around. And it's unfortunate. And we keep making this point. So the national conference must begin to look at political behavior, the behavior of those who occupy public offices. And then this question of security vote, I think the national conference must abolish it. Now, it is animalistic, in my view, for you to have funds of our people spent without appropriation for anything at all. For anything at all. We are not saying whatever you are spending this money for, particularly for security issues, come and tell us. We're not saying that. But we are saying that this thing must be audited. It must be in the books.
There must be a breakdown.
A breakdown of what you have spent. You can't just wake up and say, I give the governor of X state 700 million naira as security vote for 1 month. And then the man just looks at his girlfriend or boyfriend or whoever and then says, look, take, enjoy yourself. Or the man decides to go and buy a private jet, begins to fly it, all sorts of rubbish is going on here in the name of, security votes. And I think we need to stop that because this is one of the avenues for wasting our resources.
As regards the judiciary, what kind of reforms? I know you've said that we should have stakeholders from outside of the judiciary also come in to give a fresh perspective in issues of the NJC and all of that. But apart from that, what else do you think, as regards the judiciary, the national conference can look at in terms of reform of the judiciary?
one of the things that the conference should do is to ensure that our judiciary is a Republican judiciary.
How?
Now, because Nigeria is known as Federal Republic of Nigeria, this is not federal feudalistic country or federal feudal, whatever you call it, of Nigeria. In other words, we must know that everybody who goes to court in Nigeria is as equal as the other. So what the National Conference should be doing is to grant equality of access to all Nigerian citizens who want to approach the court. This is very key. But today, yes, equality of access. But today, what we have is that people can't afford to even go to our court because they can't pay the filing fees. That is number one. The second one also is that many people can't even afford the services of good lawyers. Even though you have what they call the Legal Aid Council, some of the states like Lagos and some other states are having what they call Office of Public Defenders and all of that. But the truth is that more than 95% of our people are still excluded from the justice sector system, if you like. And that, for me, doesn't show that we're a real Republican society. Then, of course, the third one, even when you now get into the court system, there are other practices that hinder, equality of access and equality of justice, if you like. I have no problem with people who are brilliant legal practitioners and with people who think that unless you are brilliant, you don't become a senior advocate of Nigeria. But I have a problem if you allow those titles to hinder equality of litigants. And I explain that if you are a senior advocate of Nigeria, the law says your cases can be called out of turn whenever they are for mention, not when they are for hearing. So, and I think our court must begin to, go back to this practice. It is wrong, it is indefensible that because a lawyer is senior advocate of Nigeria, the other person is not, and that is why the litigant will suffer. And I think this is wrong. We have to do something about it. In fact, I'm thinking of doing something about it urgently. Not because, of course,
you're going to file a case?
I have no problem with a lawyer wherever a lawyer sits. That's our problem. Even if they like, they can say lawyers who are very brilliant, who know the law, can go and sit with the judges on the same, that's their business. But please, even if you say, let other lawyers go and stand at the back and raise up their hand, that's your business. But please, call these cases as they are filed. Let not a person who has filed a case 10 years ago continue to suffer just because he or she is not believing a particular kind of lawyer. And I think that is wrong. We are a Republican society. So I think about National Conference, I'm not sure that that's the kind of thing that would interest them.
What about the issue of funding of the judiciary? I was in court recently and there was power outage which stalled cases and all of that. What would you have to say about?
The truth of the matter is that when you talk about funding, the politicians will only fund themselves. You see, until we see the need to advance our democracy, we will have problems on so many fronts. I just told you about education. Of course, infrastructures. Politicians in Nigeria, because of their backwardness, because of the way politics is designed for the highest bidder, they will always do everything possible to ensure that they overfund politicking and also underfund every other sector of our country. So until we rise up as a people, and that is what some of us thought maybe if the National Conference people were serious, these are the things they should be addressing. It's not about from the north or from the south. These are just plain diversions that will not help us as a people.
That is our interview segment. What do you make of Mr. Aturu's comments? Practical or not? Please share your thoughts with me via email, Facebook, or Twitter. Use the hashtag LawWeekly. And if you missed any part of the program, you can find it on our YouTube page. I am Shola Shoyeli. Thank you for watching.